Hi guys. Yes, yes everyone. Here in Manchester, seeing what it turns out to be as counter-terrorism suspect another attack. So I'm here, hopefully going to meet up with Janaea. I'm going to get some footage of what are going on. A few strange things as I've been walking down. Most of the Arndale Centre seems to be still closed. Considering this happened at 11 o'clock, about 11, quarter past 11. Uh, is, is that necessary? I don't know. All very strange. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to set myself up here. I just kind of got round the corner. I went off recon, and when I was looking at the internet on the story itself, I kind of looked at the JPEG, and the JPEG was this scene here. So I thought, right, well, let's come here and see if. And I've made my way here, and there's bits of press and there's bits of stuff going on. Don't know who these are. You might recognise some of the faces here. Journalist there, looking very slick. Don't know what she's coming out with. They all seem to be set up. So whether there's some kind of statement that's being made that they're waiting for, or there's a few characters here. But to be fair, you know what? Now we can differentiate. I'm glad I've done the stream before, if anyone's seen. Now we know. Now the information's out. We can surmise all we want. We can draw our own conclusions all we want. So it's official. There has been another terrorist attack in Manchester, albeit they're saying a lone wolf. Whether that's true or not, I've no idea. They seem to be quick to draw that conclusion, but I'm not going to knock that. If that's what they're saying, you've got to go with that for what it is, I guess. So I'm waiting for Janaea. Doing a lot of interviewing over there. She's on it. She's on it. I've not even had any tea. Literally. Got in a bath. Thank you to Eunice, by the way. Eunice, one of the subbers. As I was just looking through some of the comments on the last stream. She just basically said, here's an update, put a link to the Mirror, and the Mirror then linked to the Manchester Evening News, which then linked to the Metro, which was all saying it counter-terrorism have arrested this guy on suspicion of a terrorist act. But they're putting it out there that he's a loner. He's a lone guy. Is he? Is he not? No idea. No idea. It's certainly radicalisation, isn't it? A bit of activity here now. Oh, jeez. You know, one thing I did notice, like I say, some of the shops, a lot of the shops are shut. Look, I think, was it here that it might have happened? I'm not sure, it might not have been. But on the exterior of the Arndale, it's shut. Every shop is shut. You can't get into the Arndale, it's all taped off. People are just wandering around. And even when I seen the stream before, I'd drawn no conclusions, so I didn't knee-jerk, I didn't overreact. Now that you do know that something's happened, there seems to be a air of, all right, just crack on, crack on. Let's not look at the radicalisation. I'm not saying freak out, because I'm not freaking out by any means, but there seems to be an air of, all right, lone wolf, okay, nothing to see here, let's just move on, really. I can't, sorry guys, the reading of these comments is going to be pretty difficult at this point. It is getting dark and the eyes are going. Yeah, police state. Well, they're certainly locking down the perimeter. Is it justified? How much revenue is going to be lost? What propaganda are they going to get by locking it down? How does it look? Here we go. Well, I think he's News Northwest or something. He's switching on and off, getting in his professional mode. Is it fake news? Is it journalistic integrity? Who gives a fuck? Just open your hand, Dale. What's going on here? But the bottom line is, you've got to look at the actual problem as well, haven't you? It's all going on. I'm going to get over here. It's a bit quieter. Oh Jesus! Trapped between two trams. The demise of Ripple Phil. What a police presence for probably something that's done. It's done, innit? Lone wolf. So why have you shut down Centre of Manchester like this? Lone wolf. Is it what they can make it look like? I don't know. I don't know. Radicalisation. Radicalisation. That's what needs to be discussed about this. What's made this prick go and do an act like that? Radicalisation. What has radicalised him? What driving factors? What manipulation? You're going to call it out, call it out. I don't like shit that I'm seeing on the so-called right at this moment in time. I don't. But none of the right are doing this. Not that I know of. So if you're going to demonise people, class them as far right, class them as Nazis, class them as turning into terrorists and dissidents, then you can't just say, well, nothing to see here, lone wolf, see you later. No, you can't do that. You cannot. At the same time, you cannot demonise a whole set of society, a whole demographic. So, go on in, Corn Exchange. Hey up. Thought someone was whistling at me there. Right, let's see if I can read some of these comments. See what go on in. You alright, guys? Oh, my eyes are mashed. We're outside. Quite trendy area. I'm not going to mention the names because you know what I found out happens? When I mention names of certain buildings, that through the algorithm, these slick fuckers at YouTube then throw adverts and they copyright control it because I've named the building and shown it. So I'm not going to do that. Let's see if they do it this time round. Let me see if I can read any comments. He was far from white. I don't know. I don't know. His leg looked a bit light to me, but I don't know what bloody was going on. I don't know whether I could see his face or whether his face was covered up, because the footage wasn't really that of good quality. Oh, they look like they're packing up now. They've done the bit. Done the bit. So I can see police. Oh. Send it round. I can see police in there. See? I'm not sure exactly the location where he'd done it. I know someone mentioned Starbucks. But another thing as well is protocol that kicked in. I can't scrutinise it because, you know, I just can't. What I can say is that there was 1 or 2 reports coming from people who that was talking about how the shutters, they were ordered to lower the shutters whilst everyone was inside. I'm assuming this was after the chap was apprehended, or it may have been before, I can't say for sure. But then it went from them being basically locking themselves in to then opening the shutters and all getting out at the same time. Now, if they couldn't establish whether it was a lone wolf, was that the best idea to just put the shutters down and tell everyone to freeze almost? Because say someone else was activated within that. I don't know. I mean, I can only surmise from what that comment was all about. It seemed quite an illogical thing to do. In some cases, people are being told to evacuate. In some cases, people were being told to stay in, and particularly a building like this, if you're going to lock it all down, keep everyone inside. I don't know how long that happened for, but that doesn't sound like a safeguarding, the best thing to do in terms of safeguarding all the individuals. But I guess we know very little, so it's all scrutinising at this moment in time. So we'll see, won't we? I can't even see my hands are mashed. Where are we? How can you say it's fake? I never said it's fake. I'm just exploring the possibility, because you've got to examine all possibilities. If this, not saying it was fake, but say it was contrived. Say people want to keep the divide and conquer going. Say people want to then demonise other sets of people and set off a chain of events that is going to keep that animosity going all the way. We've got Brexit coming, we've got a lot of tension in the air. So just say people want to fan the flames a little bit. Now, by saying that, I'm saying this is not a real event. No, I never said that. It's a real event. There's obviously a geezer. But psychologically, what does this do to people? What does it do? So you need to look at who the lone wolf was inspired by, who does he follow, who does he listen to, who does he have conversations with, and see where that chain goes, really, to determine what the hell was going on. I'm not saying anything, I'm just exploring all possibilities. But it doesn't mean to say that then, because you think that, you then wear a tinfoil hat, because that is ridiculous. We don't know. It is an event, people were injured, people were hurt, they all seem to be white, and here's Janaea. So they are talking issues, and it does seem to have been born from radicalisation. Yes, Janaea, how are you doing?
I'm good.
We're live at the moment. I'm just about to shut off now anyway.
I actually felt scared walking down Market Street.
Did you? Why?
I was really tense because I'm scared someone's going to stop me. I'm being serious.
Are you feeling the tension?
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable.
Have you noticed the Arndale shut as you're walking round?
That police crime scene.
Yeah? What do you make of it? Is that normal protocol for a building of this size? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
it might be just
if you
normal,
think about
proper.
it, people get stabbed in London all the time. They don't close down all the surrounding shops. They know damn well it could be an organised attack. They just don't want to say that because it's protocol, isn't it? They don't want to freak people out. So, everyone can walk around and potentially get blown up or stabbed if anything else happens.
Yeah.
And also, there will be the political aspect of it. They don't want to inflame tensions. Just the way that the BBC actually didn't report on child grooming in Oldham because Jim McMahon told them not to because he said it would inflame tensions ahead of Lee Rigby's funeral.
But this
Different
is
topic, but
you're right, and this is instilling fear, though, innit? Because what is it saying when you've got a building of this size that they're keeping closed? Is it not kind of sending a signal to people who this is a bit? I don't know. I'm getting the psychology of it rather than if the true intention is right, it's happened, let's move on. You keep a certain area contained where the incident happened, and you open the rest of it up because you want to keep the show going, as it were.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just getting psychology-wise, and you felt it coming down.
I actually saw one of the, I'm guessing it's the security guards in is it JD or Adidas that's just on Market
Right,
Street.
okay, on the front.
It's like a specialist Adidas shop.
Yeah.
And he's wearing extra gear. that, so it's a bit uncomfortable. When I was walking down, you know, sometimes how when the street's busy, you sort of like make eye contact with somebody, you don't know whether you're going to go left or right.
Yeah.
And I did that with this guy, and then we got a bit close, and I was like, oh my god, is he going to stab me? That's what I actually
no
thought.
way.
It's obviously paranoia, but it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
paranoia. Obviously, yeah, I'm going to
Well, that's what an event like this does, doesn't it? And we're people that are pretty informed. You're right. Pretty informed and kind of analyse things from all different angles, and we're feeling it. So, all right then, Janelle, why aren't the public getting a bit more kind of savvy on this then?
As in, why does everybody seem like they're just walking around like
Hey, you're just getting on with it. Are they not feeling it like we are? Or why are they not expressing it? Why are they not coming round to, right, we've got issues with radicalisation, whether it's left, right, militant, Islam, whatever you want to call it. We've got shit going on.
I think first of all, some people probably are a bit freaked out, but you can't tell because they're just walking about and they probably live there. But I think the majority of people, they don't care. A, they're desensitised to it. Well, I guess this is point B now. B, they're desensitised to it because you're hearing it all the time. Like one of my friends actually said to me, he was like, when I hear about terrorist attacks now, he said, I just almost don't care. That's not really what he meant, but he said, I just don't respond the way I did the first time I heard about it because you hear them so much.
It's becoming mundane.
Yeah, it's like violence in video games. You get desensitised to it because you hear it and see it all the time. And also, I just think people don't really care. You know, they could be going clubbing now, or they've probably had a hard week at work. And look, there's easier things to spend your time focusing on. So, you know, why disrupt your nice, comfortable little life when you don't have to until someone comes and stabs you or blows up a member of your family, then you might start to care. I think people just don't care. They don't care.
Isn't it weird how you can get to that in the space of, 20, 30 years? Because you get any kind of terroristic event, the world stops, the propaganda is, and now all of a sudden...
There's scientific support over there. I've never seen one of those.
Scientific support.
I've seen
now...
a lot of police vans.
Well, yeah, these events are just becoming all right. It happens every Monday type of thing.
Yeah.
Let's put it in with all the other knife crime, everything else, whether it's mental health, just shit goes down all the time. We're not going to worry. I've got a night out in an hour, so if you don't mind, I'm going to get going.
Yeah.
I
don't
weird,
think
isn't
there's any
it?
point though blaming it on certain religions or groups of people, and I can already see the comments coming out, oh my god, Janae is a cook, the police got to it. It just does not solve the problem. Solving terrorism and extremism will solve the problem because that's what's caused it. And you also just make people not want to listen to your point by focusing on those things. It's because people just think, oh, fascist, far right. If the government actually did their job properly and dealt with countering extremism, and the police and everybody else did their jobs the way they're meant to, you wouldn't have to worry about the ideological causes as a regular person, because it would be being dealt with by the people who would hate to deal with it, but they don't. So obviously people do go looking for something to blame, and I'm not actually saying that they're wrong in maybe identifying a particular root cause, but it just doesn't solve the problem. It's just all talk and it doesn't result in any action. So
which is instilling more fear on people, which is kind of keeping the pot going in a way, whilst at the same time. My God, how tall was he?
You're both like 6 foot.
You could have got in his pocket there.
No, I was thinking that as you walked past, I was like, he's really tall.
Gentle Giants just walked past. Yeah, so what was your main objective tonight then? Just to come and have a look and see what's happening?
Yeah, probably to, well, maybe film some stuff. I don't think I'll get a chance to interview people. Street interviews are actually harder than people think when it's not at an event, because how many of these people would actually want to stop and talk?
They're not.
You can just see in their faces, they're like, oh, what's going on? Oh, don't care. 5 seconds later, I can see it as they're walking past now. I know, but a forensics person, a real life one in a white suit.
Forensics. Check that out.
What's with this fancy dress?
Well, it could be that. Could be that.
I think it is.
So there's still a lot going on. There's still going to be investigations, and I guess there'll still be more developments coming out in the next few hours. What do you think about the coverage? Because
do you know what? I've not actually read any of it yet. I've been so busy. I've been packing and stuff like that. But I bet I can predict it. Lone wolf, let's avoid mentioning any physical identifiers like colour of skin, potential race. Let's definitely not talk about the ideological motivation for stabbing 4 people and potentially killing them. I know no one's died yet, but is anybody in a critical condition?
someone appeared to be critical, but I couldn't tell you on hospital reports. They've not reported on that yet.
Okay, yeah.
But your critique on that is tick, 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 tick. Because that's pretty much what they've done.
Every time.
One of them, I do believe it might be the Manchester Evening News. On the top headline, it says 4 people been injured, stabbed, and then at the underneath it then says 5, and then carries on saying 5. So there's a bit of misrepresentation there. So the people make mistakes. Bloody hell, I'll hold my hand up to that.
Yeah.
But on an event like this, I guess you've got to get it out right. But in terms of the way they covered it, they were very just blasé in terms of just giving the simple facts, not really delving into it. What I would love to see now, Janeo, is journalistic.
Integrity.
Well, yes,
Understood.
but them looking into radicalisation.
Yeah.
And as much as, we can see it in what we can see as deemed as the far right, the right even, with sentiments that's brewing,
Yeah.
but doesn't mean to say you castigate all the right or all right-thinking people. But within radicalisation with ideologies
Yeah.
that some people can interpret, some people can't, some people just want to get on with the life. But do we need to now look at radicalisation and come back to the plate and stop demonising people for questioning what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that how we started out getting involved? The problem is, there's a lot of different people responsible for the current climate, which is you can't say things about radicalisation in certain religions because that makes you far right. That's partially to do with the fact that the far right do talk about it, but it's mostly to do with the fact that, I'm going to say the mainstream, I don't want to say the left because I consider myself left-wing, the mainstream will not talk about it, and then when you do get centrist-y type people like us who do talk about it, and when we really say, oh, we're not actually trying to scapegoat this group, we are genuinely concerned with this issue, we mean what we say, we then get pushed into this other group because nobody in the mainstream talks about it, because to talk about it makes you far right. And then these other figures who are dishonest about their intentions and will pretend that they're being fair and pretend they're not scapegoating, but really they have darker intentions, then latch on to people like us. And then some of us realise that they've latched on to us and that we should get the hell away from them.
Sidestep a little bit,
Yeah, but other people end up actually being further radicalised by them.
Yeah.
But then this suits the mainstream
Out of
narrative.
frustration,
Yeah.
the
So
whole
it's
leap
like,
of
what do
emotions.
you do? You can't win.
It's a calamity, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've still got, let's put it right, if they've put it down as a lone wolf, okay, nothing to do with ISIS, but this guy has still been inspired by something to come out and do this under what he sees as an ideology.
Can I just
What
say
it is,
as well,
I don't know.
Even if he didn't speak to another single, let's just say religious extremist at this point, because it hasn't actually been said in the media, and I don't want to be one of those people that just jumps to conclusions, but I think we all have a good idea of what he might believe in. If he is doing it in the name of religion, then he's not a lone wolf, is he? Because he's doing it in the name of this ideology, and hundreds or thousands of people before him have also murdered and attacked and maimed and raped in the name of this ideology. It's not lone wolf. He didn't pluck up this ideology himself. He didn't make it up himself. He's got it from somewhere. It's a group. Sorry, it's my mum.
Go
but
for it.
It's a group thing.
No, if you need
But
to answer
they
the
just
phone,
perpetuate the idea it's lone wolf because, I mean, God help us, if we had to for 1 second admit that actually maybe we do have some issues with extremism, whether it be far left, far right, Islamic, Buddhist, whatever it
Call
is.
it out.
It doesn't fit the narrative, does it? It doesn't fit the narrative.
You can't keep demonising one side when you can clearly see that even on a percentage level, there's legitimacy in the talking point. So it's like, stop it. I can see why you want to demonise. I can see why certain people get angry. I see why people react. See why elements of the right are going where they are. I can see provocateurs. I can see all of that. But we've still got the main essential problem. So can we stop this little tit-for-tat tug-of-war fighting? Because meanwhile, you've got geezers that do take it upon themselves to pick up knives and then attack random, what possibly could be white individuals.
Yeah.
What the race of this individual is, no one fucking knows. We have to tiptoe round the language like that, and I don't mind doing that because I'll do that all bleeding day. But I'm still going to get to the point of he's radicalised.
Yeah.
So why aren't the news getting on it? Why aren't we talking about it? Why are people just now on the night out, don't give a shit, and tomorrow's a new day?
Do you know what I hate though? When you get involved in politics, every issue's amplified by 100, it's magnified by 100. So, just as an example, it's true that when people get involved in right-wing politics, some of them do lose their jobs, but when you're just in those circles,
Yeah.
it's made out it happens way more than it actually does happen.
Yeah.
And what really frustrates me is people's lack of willingness to challenge the bias. It's not the bias itself, because it's human nature to have a bias. But look, we said, didn't we? If it's not a Muslim guy that's done this, a radical Muslim, then people will jump onto the fact that he's black and go, oh, black knife crime. If it was a white guy that did this, all of the mainstream would be going, oh, he's far right. They'd be doing anything
Yeah.
they could to link
I
him
know.
to far right groups, even if those groups weren't genuinely far right themselves.
They're all playing identity
They're all playing identity politics,
It's
and all
sick,
trying
innit?
to take the moral high ground, but
Yeah.
no one's got the moral high ground. They're all just hypocrites picking their group that they want to scapegoat. For the mainstream, it's the working class.
Meanwhile,
For
the problem
mainstream,
is
it's
still
white
there.
people, yeah.
Still
And
happening.
Meanwhile, terrorists are still plotting their next terrorist attack, waiting to stab people, whilst all these people make all of their money and argue between each other and scapegoat different groups, and the innocent person on the street is still the one that pays the price. These people are not solving the problem. They're not.
They're not
solving the
helping.
problem.
They're not helping at all, and it disheartens me when you see that this is what is going on, really,
Yeah.
and all this circus here, and you think, okay, well, what are you actually going to come and report?
Is going to lie. They're going to lie.
They're not going to answer the question that we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes, which is radicalisation. They're not going to go
In
there.
fact, if they knew the conversation we were having, if they looked at our YouTube channels, they'd probably be coming over to us
They'd be
saying that
turning
we're
the camera.
responsible for this kind of thing. Yeah,
You
they'd say
would.
we're radicalised and we're racist for daring to even consider that he might be belonging to a certain religion and may have done it in the name of that religion, without even for a second suggesting that we're scapegoating an entire group of people.
But not to say that every Muslim, everyone who follows that, because I'm sure there's beautiful Muslims, and there are, because I know some
When
personally.
you watch it, Phil.
Yeah,
it's your
Red Pill
channel.
Phil.
Red Pill Phil.
Yeah, on YouTube, mate.
All right.
All right, nice one. Thank you very much. See ya. Wow.
Fair enough.
Got a new supper, maybe? Who knows? So, yeah.
Part of me wants to go over to them and say, how will you be reporting on this? And if it was somebody who's radicalised by a certain religion, well, not by the religion, but within the religion, will you report on that? And then we can go to their news articles about, oh, they didn't. I mean, look, he might not have done. He might have just been a psycho. He could have just been a psycho. Doubt it. I obviously have to say, he was suspected of terrorism, because it wouldn't be very legally professional of me, would it, to just say that you've done it. But
Yeah,
we've got a good
that's a
idea.
suspicion.
Yeah, suspicion.
But they were quick to jump in there on there, so there
Yeah.
must be something that must really put it to the top of the queue to pull him in for that.
Yeah.
Because they know there's so much scrutiny. And to be fair, people will say the police play a big role in downplaying attacks.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
didn't downplay this. By the time I got my bath, he's been pulled in on suspicion of terrorism.
You know what? Just thinking about it from the angle of the way the police responded, it seems, almost perfectly at this point. They came, they arrested him, and he's gone off the streets. Why don't they respond like that to everything? They only respond like that when it's an immediate threat and it is something as bad as someone being stabbed, and they know it's going to get loads of media coverage. Let's not forget, the majority of the time, Welsh children are still being groomed, Welsh people are being raped, Welsh people are being assaulted, Welsh domestic abuse is happening. The police, Greater Manchester Police, are arresting people for tweets the day the Christchurch church attack
Right.
happened. They
Yeah.
arrested somebody for a tweet. There's loads of things they're arresting people for that they just should not be arresting people for. People can Google it. And it just made me think, it doesn't feel like it was a genuine response. Maybe I'm being overly critical by saying that.
No, I get it.
But
Because
I feel like they don't really care. I feel like the higher ups had an agenda perhaps. They thought, oh God, we have to respond this way. We have to arrest for terrorism because otherwise it'll look bad. But when it's an incident that's less serious or less immediate, they're very quick to just dismiss.
Yes.
The grooming's one of those. It's not smack bang in your face like this, is it? They're very quick to dismiss it when they know they won't
Yeah.
get the media coverage. They're scared of the media. They're all scared of the
Yeah.
media. So they'll just dismiss
so
it. This is
someone
not
running round in
representative.
public in the middle of the
Yeah.
Arndale Centre, you can't kind
Exactly.
of cover that up right. I'm with you.
This is not a true representation of the way police treat radicalisation or serious offences. It's not. It just isn't. This is a good example of police work, I guess, but this is not how they behave.
Well, does that mean they're turning the corner then, Janea?
No,
Are we going to be cynical and say no?
gonna
This
say
is
no.
all, yeah.
it was all a case of, oh, well, everyone's going to be watching our lives and us, so we'd best do the right thing. We are yet to find out whether the CPS will actually charge him and whether the police have actually done their jobs properly enough, whether they've gathered enough evidence and preserved the crime scene correctly, I'm tripping over myself there, to actually allow the CPS to secure a successful prosecution. Because will he actually get convicted of a terrorism offence, or will he be convicted of just simple GBH? Because that's what could happen. It could just be classed as only just GBH, and not just GBH.
Well, it
is
actually
serious,
said
but
something
it's
like
different.
preparation and acts of terrorism. So preparation. Preparation is not just carrying a knife, is it?
Oh, I love this area of law. It's so complex. It's inchoate offences, which is basically not actually committing an offence. It's things like conspiracy,
Right.
Or assisting. It's things like that. So for what would this be? What did you say that they were thinking
But it
it was?
was preparation and acts of terrorism.
So generally speaking, the preparation is meant to be the last final act you can actually do
Yeah.
before committing the offence. So that would have been, I think, him actually getting the knife out and like going like that to you. The next act would have been the offence of stabbing you, but he did stab people, so that's
So then
not
they've concluded
preparation.
that stabbing is an act of terrorism. So what justifies
not
them
preparation.
putting it down as terrorism then? So that's what makes me think that what have they got? What have they found out?
Yeah.
What have they found out within maybe his personal records, maybe what he was saying at the time, what was in his pockets? Because people carrying knives and doing that, you
It's
don't
known to police.
go down.
Is he one of the? How many have we got on a watch
Exactly.
list? Is it 23,000 we've got on a watch list, or
Well,
3,000 that they're actually keeping an eye on? I can't remember the statistic.
He's
but
a
I bet it
lone
was known.
wolf. Okay, we'll take that. They're just words. It doesn't mean that he's not got information from somewhere. It doesn't mean he doesn't have a cell, whether it be a loose cell, a tight cell, whatever it is.
It's a dirty one.
Did she? She was very right. Oh, Jesus, don't know what was going on. And we're not trying to condemn at the same time. We're trying to just scrutinise exactly what's going on here. Like you say, we've got to say it right, I guess.
Yeah.
He's been arrested on suspicion. On suspicion, but within a short period of time, the counter-terrorism have come in. They've worked out that they want to grab him for that.
I mean, look at all of these vans. That's not normal for a stabbing,
Yeah.
a regular stabbing. If it was a lone wolf and it was an isolated incident, why have we got all of these police around now? Because it isn't, and they know damn well he's probably part of a network, and if he's not actually physically part of a network, ideologically he is, and that could trigger other attacks, and they know that, but they'll never say
I think that's the latter statement is probably more semantically correct
Yeah.
in terms of what we can determine is part of an ideological network in terms of he's connecting with dark energies within the nasty, nefarious side of the Islamic text.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. If you want to do this fucking semantical dance YouTube, you can't be banning me because I will dance, I will do the freaking tiptoe.
As far as I'm concerned, there's no truth in any religion, so you can manipulate any religion however you want. If you're a nice person, you can manipulate it to be the nicest thing in the world. If you're not a nice person,
Yeah.
then you can manipulate it to be the worst thing in the world. It's got a lot to do with the individual person's personality.
Yeah.
And another point I have to make that I really hate so much is when they go, oh, they had mental health issues. That is such it's an insult. A lot of people have got mental health issues, and mental health issues covers a variety of things.
Well, they didn't
It
say
could
that
be-
initially. Do you reckon they'll drop in with that later on down the line?
They'll either drop in with it, or if they don't, they usually come with that one. But it's like, what does mental health issues mean? That could be an anxiety disorder like PTSD or generalised anxiety.
Well, to be fair,
It could be schizophrenia.
I sat on the fence today
Which
because
one
I'm
would it
like,
be?
we don't, from the information that we were told today, the only conclusion you could draw is that the geezer was obviously off his head, thinking that he could just indiscriminately attack people. There was no other way of deterring. And I still stand by that streaming to
Yeah.
say that that was probably the most balanced way of putting it.
Can I
This
just
ain't.
interject to say
You
one
can
thing?
strike.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to get triggered now, guys.
Oh,
The
jeez.
one thing is that these days we never just, because we're all fluffy and cuddly, we never just
Yeah.
want to admit that there's evil people in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to admit that. It's always a mental health issue with, we don't want to blame it on radicalisation, or then it's a mental health issue, or, it's always some other reason. Other than the guy just might be evil. There are evil people. People do vile things. The world is not a nice place. Most of the people in power are just sickos. They're not mentally ill. Yeah, people do terrible things because they're mentally ill, but things like this are not examples of that. I'm sorry, but they're just not.
No.
Even if you are mentally ill, it might make you vulnerable to being
You can have a
radicalised, but it's not
totally
the cause.
no, you can have a totally compass mentis person be radicalised.
Yeah.
That doesn't denote mental illness in any way.
Yeah.
You could be clinical and still be radicalised.
Yeah.
That's clear because the rationale's there. If you're laying out a manifesto, if you're streaming it, that's not mentally ill. Mentally ill is like deranged behaviour when you're going out and doing something that is irrational.
Yeah, do you know
This
how
is
they
very
use the
clinical.
language? By using the term mental illness, they imply that the person doesn't have capacity. But the reality of it is most people with mental illnesses do have capacity. And if you're doing things like that, then if you're doing all this planning and preparation, I'm sorry, but that's not somebody who lacks capacity. It's not. It's just not. And the term mental health should not be synonymous with lacking capacity because it's just not true.
Right, I'm going to end this here because I'm sure, do you want to get a few little bits and
Yeah,
bobs
Chris
going?
is on his way.
Oh, is it? Right,
Yeah.
okay. Is there any, well, obviously, right, your frequencies for the channel, everyone knows you, but for people who are watching this, Janea, do you want to tell people about your channel and what you do and what you're
Yeah,
up
so
to?
basically, if anybody doesn't know who I am, then just search my channel, JONAYA. I'm not posting as much at the moment because I've got uni, but at the moment I'm posting a lot of videos on suing the police. I'm actually suing those lot over there at the
Oh,
moment.
jeez.
And I actually got a letter today from the
Really?
police. I got the witness statement from the police officer who broke into my mum's.
Right.
I've got very angry
Interesting.
with that, yeah.
Right.
I'll show you in a minute, actually.
Right, okay.
The funny thing is, they unlawfully entered the property twice, damaged the door, also damaged the back door, which needs to be repaired. We recently found out when we tried to use it. And he actually had the audacity to say the female who I identified as Janea was leaning out of the window and she knew about her wanted status. It's like, mate, it was for a summary offence. I didn't have to open the door. In fact, when police are on your property for a summary offence in your garden, which is classed as your property, you can happily hang out of the window and say, get off my property, you're trespassing. If you don't get off, I'll sue you for trespass. But because the police either don't know the law or don't care, they thought that they could just break into the property, which they did. So they did it again.
Or
But
assuming
I've
that
got-
you didn't know the law.
Yeah, but I actually know the law better than they do.
That's
I've
the
proven
thing,
that
innit?
time and time again.
Yeah.
And then he's put on the statement, I met Janea on the landing. It's like, sorry, is this address Spindles? Is it Nando's? You met me like it's some nice social no. You unlawfully forced entry to the property and then dragged me out of the house and locked me up unlawfully for 12 hours. That's what happened.
Wow.
So, yeah,
semantically then he's set himself up that it's just a la-di-da
I've got-
coffee meeting.
everything I need in that to sue them at least for trespass. So
Yeah, yeah.
we've got enough to sue them for everything else, but that statement on its own will do for trespass. That won't even get to court.
So he's dug
because-
himself a grave there.
And interference with goods because they seized my phone. So
Ouch.
they're screwed.
They're
They're
coming.
screwed,
Janaea's on the way.
Yeah.
Janaea's on the way.
But I'm
So
going to upload those videos soon.
Right.
I just need to edit them and put them together. Because it's annoying when you have so much info. You
Yeah.
don't want to just have tons and tons of videos because people will get bored and confused. But then you don't want to leave it so long that then you end up having to miss out bits of information.
Yes.
So, and obviously it's really long and complex.
yeah,
nowadays,
because
so-
people skit around and they look in other places to get information. So they,
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. I just throw stuff out there now. I don't have a strategy. I just think, right,
It
I've
gets too
covered
hard in
that.
the end.
Day later, right, I've got this. You're getting that as well. And sometimes some people are going, he covered that yesterday and now he's doing that today. And it's like, you move about. You have
Yeah.
different ideas. I've still got 2-3 other videos yet, like you, to upload. I'm questioning when to do it
I'm not
because
doing
of
it
certain
yet
things.
because of the YouTube stats. YouTube are definitely messing with.
We spoke
I'm not
about
saying
this,
it's
haven't we?
just my channel. 'Cause
Yeah, I
I've
think they're
noticed it
doing
on
it.
other people's as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know my AdSense, I went in it and it always lags and it's updating,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been for 2 months on £2. That's not right. So there's obviously something going on with it. So I'm just not uploading for now because every time I upload, I lose loads of subs, which to an extent is actually normal because you do lose subs because people just aren't interested. But like the recent one I uploaded on the where the police were pestering me outside the station, 40 subscribers disappeared out of thin air. But on the stats, it only said 13 people had unsubscribed, but at the same time, I've got loads of people coming to me saying I'm being forcibly unsubbed. So
Wow.
those 13
There's games.
unsubscribers probably weren't unsubscribing.
Yeah, there is games being
Yeah.
played. I was telling you that my Create Studio doesn't correspond with my view count, which then doesn't
Yeah, mine
correspond
doesn't.
with my mainframe. You get 3 sets of figures. I only get the true figure of my view count when I actually press the video. And then even then, I'm like, well, if you're giving me 3 sets of figures, I don't even know whether I can trust that. That could be a total joke. You know,
Yeah.
so there is shenanigans going on.
They'll never stop though, because
Yeah.
even big YouTubers like H3, like massive YouTubers that don't
Yeah.
do politics, they've all spoke about this, all
Getting
drawn
hit as
major
well.
attention to it, more than what any
Oh, is this the man?
yeah, more than what any mainstream organisation would, and YouTube still won't sort it out.
Right.
They said that they've never had a problem with people being unsubscribed from channels, but people have been going on about it since 2015.
Yeah.
All people, like massive YouTubers,
Yeah.
tiny YouTubers, people with 30 subs.
He's
people who just
permeating out
viewers.
now. I
Yeah.
think that's what's
Everyone's
happening,
sick of
isn't it?
And it's
Yeah.
certain people are being affected by it more than others. I mean, H3 did a video in 2017,
Mm.
which is when we started,
Mm-hmm.
and he said you will never see any big upcoming channels now because of the way YouTube's changed its policies and stuff.
Right.
Because I honestly believe if we'd have done our channels pre-2017, if you notice, everyone in the more dissident circles who were huge all started prior 2017.
I get what you're saying.
So I think if we had started then, we
Yeah.
have hundreds of thousands of subs, but we'll never ever be able to build it up to that because YouTube just won't allow it. The algorithm won't allow
Right.
it. And
They're keeping the foot on our
Yeah.
heads, basically.
CrimeBodge figured out
Yeah.
when your video gets demonetized, it gets shoved down in the algorithm because obviously YouTube wants to promote the ones that are monetized so they can make money. And also, when they do demonetize your videos, they will still run ads on them, but only so that they can make money.
Not you.
Yeah, but it's meant to be unmonetizable.
Well, freedom of speech, or is it a scam?
Yeah.
An illusion, you know what I mean? But I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to say hi
One
to
thing
you,
I
mate.
actually will say
Hello, pal, you alright?
is, to be honest, the one thing that activists need to do is focus on the whole freedom of speech thing.
Right.
Is we should actually start calling it what it is under the European Convention on Human Rights, which is freedom of expression, which is different. And also the one really important piece of information that people don't know, which it doesn't actually help us in any way, but it's important to know, is that freedom of expression is a qualified right, it's not an absolute right, which means you're only entitled to your freedom of expression up until the point where it doesn't infringe on any of the other protected rights of another
Yeah.
individual. But then, of course, you ask the question, well, when does my freedom of expression so-called interfere with this other person's, say, I don't know, rights or whatever?
Be triggered or
Nobody
offended.
really knows, do they? So
Yeah. Because
it's-
everyone's got their own level.
yeah, the European Convention on Human Rights is essentially useless because it gives any state the freedom to implement any laws which could easily quell your freedom of expression, and that article could still be
Sure.
in place. It's
Wow.
actually lawful under the European Convention on Human Rights for governments to kill their citizens in an uprising. It actually says that, so right to life isn't technically absolute either because your state can kill you. So, yeah, so great, so useful.
Well, it
Human
is.
Rights Act, so great.
I mean, the bottom line is let's just be bloody considerate with one another. Let's make society a little bit better
Yeah.
instead of all running around the way we are. But if we're all being psychologically affected by fake stories and stories that are happening genuinely, then I guess that cycle is going to create a little bit more in it. You know what I mean? We're not all going to be skipping our heels around society, but bottom line is, Jesus Christ, how many bad stories do we need to digest in a year today? Huh?
There's just too many, but it's been slightly off topic with the Brexit thing because we're going covering that, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
Obviously, the European Union is bad in my opinion and everything that comes with it, but I actually think, and maybe this is all part of the plan, you know, the divide and conquer thing, people are actually getting far too focused on the European Union and not on the fact that really the power is all within. The power is within our government. Parliament is sovereign. If our Parliament doesn't want to be in the European Union, it doesn't have to be. If we don't want to abide by certain things they do, we don't have to. This is all happening because our Parliament choose to let it happen. So we need to actually focus on that. It's like the Human Rights Act that was supposed to make it so that certain bodies acting in a way that was against the European Convention on Human Rights was unlawful, but it's only selectively enforced. And the regular person could not enforce that, not really. And most lawyers wouldn't help you out anyway because of the financial issues of it, because they couldn't make money off it. I'm going on a rant now, but there's lots of bars to regular people. It's just very frustrating a lot.
Well, you can tell, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell your video's going to be full of content here now. Gee, she's revved up. I've revved her up, mate. She's all ready, Chris, yeah? She's on it. So, right, nice one. I'm going to wrap this up, leave you to get with it. These guys are wrapping up. I'm going to say thank you for your time, Janelle. It was great meeting up with you. I'm going to obviously chill for another minute while you get yourself sorted, but I'm going to leave you, have a little chat. I'm going to wrap this stream up, and I'll come back in a sec,
Okay,
yeah?
no worries.
All right, nice one, guys. Right, guys. Yeah. Right. Another event. Well, on suspicion. It's all on suspicion. Suspicion of radicalisation. So, is it not? The question does need to be brought up. Even if you got a suspicion, then we've got to talk about it. What can you do? Anyway, guys, no problem. Tap off. Thank you for jumping on. I'm going to get going now. I'm going to get home, get some food, go and see my family for a bit. I literally crossed paths with my wife earlier. So, hope you've enjoyed the stream, had a little chat. Have a great weekend. And if there's any updates to what is going on here, I will let you know as soon as I can. Okay, guys? So, love you all. Even the pissing haters. See you guys.